Are there some myths about making a career change that are holding you back from actually taking the steps you need to move forward? In this video today, I'm going to discuss 5 myths and why they are myths. Before I do that, though, I want to let you know that I'm going to put the link below for a guide that I have created on how to create a professional life that you love. It has 5 steps in there that I used and that I coach clients through. It also contains common mistakes to actually avoid. We can spend a lot of time doing things that are busy work, but they're not actually getting us to where we want to be. So I'm going to put the link below for that guide. Now, as I mentioned, today's video, 5 myths that might be holding you back. And first of all, off the top, I want to say these are really widely held beliefs. And when something is widely held, it is sometimes harder to break away and to, be open to a new perspective, because enough people believe something, it gets more embedded. It becomes a greater foundation. But I can assure you they are myths. I have made the career shift myself, as well as I'm helping hundreds of others do the same. And like I said, when I start working with people, these are beliefs that they have, and they are beliefs that don't hold true the longer and longer you go into the process. So, myth number 1. In making a career change, you are starting over. That is just simply not true. You are not starting over at all. There is skills, experience, knowledge, wisdom, things that you have done, things that you know that have gotten you to this point. It's not like you were starting out when you were 20 or 23 years old, starting out your career. It's not like that at all. You have a lot more things to draw from. It's more about repackaging what you have than throwing everything away and starting fresh. And here's the other part of this. Now, I switched from being a full-time CPA in the corporate world to being a full-time self-employed coach. Now, I would say in the grand scheme of things, that was a bigger shift. Okay, I was going to say, first of all, going from corporate to self-employed, that's a shift in itself. But then also going from being a full-time CPA, accountant, finance manager to being a coach, that was another big flip. So I had 2 significant flips. But when I actually did the work and did the reflection on myself, as I've done over the years and as I was creating my Pathway to Purpose program, a lot of what the shifts I made, they weren't actually as big as I thought, because there was a lot of things that I have taken from my career in being a CPA and now have been able to apply it to my current career and the career I anticipate having for the rest of my life, because I love it, right? But there's so many things that I carried over, and they don't always seem so obvious. They really don't. So it's really about taking an inventory, self-assessment on what you actually have to offer, because I can guarantee you it's far more than you think it is. The second point I want to make under this myth is sometimes people don't need as big of one that I did. Sometimes it's really not as significant. There may be aspects of your career that are significant enough for you to feel unhappy, but sometimes we can make smaller pivots. But the key to that is actually knowing what are the pieces that are not in alignment with you, and then finding out what will be in alignment with you, and again, repackaging it. So really, there is quite a variation in how much change you either want, you either need, you can tolerate. I mean, there's also risk levels. There's all kinds of factors at play in here, but at the end of the day, it's not starting over from scratch. And there are many different ways that your current career can shift into something new and something different. So myth number 2, and this is one that I see really crop up a lot, is that the myth, the belief that you can't create abundance and you can't make enough money doing something you love or feeling fulfilled. And that is simply not true, full stop. And you don't actually have to look very far to see evidence of that. Look at all your singers, look at all your athletes, look at all of your actors, your actresses. There are so many people out there who are making loads of money, and I mean loads of money, doing what they love. But somehow along the way, a belief has been created and followed by many people that you have to be miserable to make money. Typically happens when you're in an environment for too long, and you've been struggling for too long in a career, and you start to equate money with being unhappy. But I can assure you that is simply not true. And in fact, the opposite often happens. And I say often because you also have to have strategies and you have to be smart about it, right? You don't just switch and do what you love and expect things to fall in place, right? You always got to have a plan and strategies and, learn how to implement whatever you're doing. But when we love something, there's a different energy we bring to it. It's just a completely different experience. And, I'm just going to share what happened to me. I'm filming this on Monday afternoon. And I usually take a break from social media on the weekends. I found that works best for me and my energy. And I got onto social media this morning and did my post and was interacting with people. And I felt such gratitude for the people that I was interacting with, my clients, people who were, messaging me. And honestly, I just sat there, and this was at 6:37 this morning. So that's like bright and early Monday morning. And I know for a lot of you, bright and early Monday morning means unhappiness. But my bright and early Monday morning meant I am so grateful. Like, I actually missed them over the weekend. I was like, oh my gosh, they're my family, right? Like, that's kind of how I felt. I felt like I was always being seen. I felt heard by all these people, and I feel like I could really see them and hear them. And that's a big piece. So when you actually are showing up on a Monday morning and you're excited, you naturally you put more energy into your work. You have more energy because your work energizes you, and you're actually able to create more success. You can actually create more money than you did while you were suffering because you're actually enjoying it. It becomes a positive experience for you, and we tend to be drawn towards positive experiences. So it's, like I said, simply not true. If you use some strategies and you be smart about it and you follow steps and so on and so forth, you have a plan, you could absolutely shatter the income that you used to have, full stop. So the third myth is that, and this is something I definitely, again, see with many clients that I work with. When they first come to me, they feel like they're the only ones that are experiencing this because maybe they have been working in an environment where nobody talks about this, wanting greater fulfillment or not being happy. And maybe you're working in a company where you simply can't talk about this because, you're going to be seen as negative or it's going to be held against you at some point. And that's a very real experience. So, if you're in an environment where it's not an open environment to talk about this, you have to be cautious about blurting these things out. So that's why I often share so much of what I do in my videos and my content, because I want people to know they are not alone. There are so many of you going through this. Your need or your desire for more fulfillment, to feel happier in what you do, it is extremely common. It is becoming more and more common. And not only that, it's not unrealistic. It is not, it's not something that you shouldn't be desiring or somehow you're being self-centered and somehow in there, because I feel like often that is a feeling that comes up for people, like, who am I to want more kind of thing, right? Well, why not? We spend a lot of our time working. We spend a lot of our waking hours working. We should feel happy in it. Like, the belief that somehow we shouldn't be is more bizarre to me than the acceptance that this is just the way it is. So just wanted to really share that there are many of you going through this right now. So if you don't have somebody in your immediate circle that is feeling the same way, just I can assure you, you are not alone. And also you don't have to go through this alone, because sometimes if we feel like there isn't anybody, there are resources, whether it be me or a book or something else out there. There are resources. You don't actually have to go through it alone. Number 4, the myth that, and I touched on this in number 3, the myth that somehow wanting more for yourself is selfish. It is, I'll just say it, it's selfish. I hear this through clients when they're concerned about taking some extra time away from their families, maybe their kids, maybe their spouse, to create something where they feel more fulfillment. To many people, that feels selfish. But in fact, it's not. Now, yes, there is some level of commitment that is required to make a shift. It's going to take a little bit of your time and energy. I think you can understand that. And I'd be lying if I said it didn't. But when you start to feel more joyful, when you start to feel more aligned with yourself, you become a different person. And that means you show up in all areas of your life as a different person. And typically that does mean you have more energy, you are more positive, you are more optimistic. There's just a different way about you. That benefits the people around you. So it's almost like we have to think, okay, so this might take a little bit of sacrifice in the short term. And I don't even like the word sacrifice, because that means you're not getting something back, because you actually will. You get more than what you thought. It's maybe an investment in the short term into another aspect of your life. But when you make a shift, your whole life up levels. So the people around you are going to be positively affected by you having more joy, by you having more to give. Because at the end of the day, if you are in something that is bringing you a sense of joy and fulfillment, it fills your cup. And we all know when our cup is full, we have more to give. When we're in a career that is draining our cup, that's just sucking us dry, we don't have anything to give. And so as much as we may want to give more to the people we love, we don't always have that reserve. But when you are in alignment and you are working with something that fills you up, that therefore makes you able to then give more, not only to your family, but to your community, humanity in general. I think there's just something beautiful about having an open heart and an ability to give, to be one of the people who is able to help facilitate change in this world, because that's what we're really needing right now. People who do have a full cup, who are able to give more to this world, because right now we do really need it. So I can assure you, it is anything but selfish. And the 5th and last one, this is something that is coming up, I would say more and more as our economy, whether you're in the US or Canada or Europe, as a lot of our economies are clearly going and heading into a recession, whether that they're already or not. And the myth that it's just safer to stay where you are. And this is what I know, and this is what I'm witnessing every day. Now, first of all, I have shared before, I was fired from my job. So and I was there for almost 12 years. You would think I was quote unquote safe. I wasn't at all. My situation was they were asking me to do something that went against my values, and I felt really strongly about it. So I didn't do what was asked of me, and therefore I was fired. But there's a lot of reasons why people are being fired right now, being let go. We have layoffs. It doesn't matter where you are, what industry you are, how long you've been there. If If a company is experiencing a severe downturn, if you are deemed to be redundant, if a new technology comes along that makes you redundant, the safest thing we can actually do is invest in ourselves and rely on ourselves. This notion that we can rely on a company to have that sense of security, those days are over. I do believe there was a time in our history where that was more prevalent, and I think that was a safer bet to make. But we are in such massively shifting times right now that to put all your eggs in one basket and just think, well, I'm in this company for 10 years, 15 years, whatever it might be, this is just the safer option. I'm seeing evidence completely to the contrary. And again, it's about also investing in ourselves. Whenever we invest in ourselves, it doesn't really matter what happens in the world around us. You can lose a job. And that was the thing with me. When I was fired, I was already building this side business. I was already there. And so when it happened, I just went, oh, okay, well, I've already got this thing going on. I've already been building a business. I've already got clients. I'm already doing this. It's just time to scale it up. It's go time. I now need to actually make this my thing, which is exactly what I did. So really within 2 weeks, I had hired a business coach. Like, I was up and running. Like, I was full tilt going. And that's only because I had done all that investment in myself. And here's the other piece, and this is really important. And this was something that I have seen as a thread throughout my life. When you invest in yourself, when you spend the time to do the work on yourself, to do the inner healing, to learn about yourself, to learn in general, just to learn about life, learn from, we have so many teachers out there. When life gives you a choice, when you have to make a choice in life, that's a hard choice. And like a choice where I was faced, where I had to either do something that really went against my values, or being able to sleep at night, which was really how the decision felt for me. It was really easy for me to make the decision to choose me and my values, because I've always had this sense, because I invest in myself, I've always done this, that no matter what happens to me, I will figure it out. I know I can figure this out because I have been continually investing, and that's safety. That's where safety comes. And when you can make decisions in your life that might feel hard to somebody else, they're so much easier to make when you know who you are, when you've cultivated yourself, when you've skilled up. You can make those hard decisions. Another example that comes to mind was when I left my marriage. It was my choice to leave my marriage many years ago. And I learned after leaving my marriage, and I had 2 really small kids, they were 2 and 3. I learned after leaving my marriage, I had so many women tell me they stay because of money. It's the only reason they stay in their marriage. I had so many women say, oh, you're so brave, so on and so forth. Now, I think I would have left regardless. I wasn't happy enough to leave, but here's the thing. I didn't ever suffer, financially. I mean, of course, you always, whenever you split a marriage up, of course, your assets get divided and so on and so forth. But I was able to rebound really quickly. I just started making money, just did what I did, because I had invested in myself for so long. I knew I could do it. I'm like, no, I know how to make money. I can get a job. I can do this. I can hustle. I can get a promotion. I can do all these things because I had invested. And again, there's another example that just random kind of floated into my head. But like I said, I see where it's been woven throughout my life. The more you invest in yourself, that's where your safety and your security comes from. It comes from investing in yourself, spending the time on yourself. It doesn't come from anything outside of us. The moment we think safety and security comes from anything or anybody outside of us, that is where we lose our power. So if you're in a position right now where you're thinking, oh my gosh, the economy is feeling unstable, I just need to stay in this company because I've actually been here a long time and that'll bode well for me. It might, and it might not. We really just don't know. You really just actually don't know. And if you are somebody who's worked in management, and if you are somebody who's laid off people, fired people, terminated people, you know what that's like. Most people don't know it's coming, right? We don't know it's coming usually. It's usually a surprise. So the best thing you can do right now is invest in yourself, however that looks. And I don't say this to sort of scare you, but this is the truth of the situation when we do give our power away, when we do look towards something else for our safety. So wherever you are at right now, start investing in yourself. This is always something I say, especially when times are tough, because the truth of the matter is actually the most successful people are made in downturn economies because so many people pull back. So many people pull back in a downturn economy. Well, what really we need to be doing is doubling down, investing hard, really digging deep. That's what actually we should be doing to create success in these challenging times that we are going through economically. So those were the 5 myths that I wanted to share with you today. If you found this valuable, please do subscribe, share, and like. It certainly helps get my message out there. And again, to say that I've got the link for my free guide down below to the 5 steps on how to create a professional life that you love. So take care, and I will talk to you soon.